Ever wondered how the food habits of people in the 1940s might impact your dinner plate today? Well, you're about to find out. This episode will take you on a fascinating journey, exploring the evolution of food habits during the 1940s, a time of great change and upheaval. This era was marked by World War II, a global conflict that shaped the world in more ways than one. Its ripple effects were felt even in the humble kitchens of everyday folks. It changed what people ate, how they cooked, and even how they thought about food. From rationing to the rise of processed foods, the 1940s transformed the culinary landscape. As we delve into this intriguing period, we'll uncover how these changes in food habits have left an indelible mark on our dining tables today. So grab your forks and napkins, folks. Stay tuned as we embark on a culinary journey back in time to the 1940s. Imagine a world where the luxury of choice in your food is replaced by the necessity of rationing. This was the stark reality of the 40s, a time when the world was steeped in the throes of World War II. The impact of this global conflict was felt right in the heart of homes, transforming everyday cooking and eating habits. With food supplies dwindling, governments across the globe implemented rationing. This meant that staple items like meat, dairy, sugar, and fats were suddenly a luxury. Households were given ration books, allowing them to purchase limited amounts of these goods. This was a time of make do and mend, of stretching ingredients to their limit, and of meals that were more about sustenance than pleasure. Rationing didn't just limit quantities, it also altered the very essence of meals. With red meat in short supply, poultry and fish became more prevalent on the dinner table. And with dairy hard to come by, margarine often replaced butter, while powdered eggs stood in for the real deal. But the 40s were not just about scarcity, they were also a time of ingenuity and innovation. With traditional ingredients missing from the pantry, home cooks turned to substitutes, birthing new recipes and food trends. Carrot cookies, apple brown Betty, and mock apple pie, made not from apples but from crackers, are just a few examples of the creative cooking that defined this era. Vegetables, too, took center stage, with victory gardens sprouting up in backyards and public spaces. These gardens not only supplemented rationed food supplies, but also fostered a sense of community and shared purpose. In a world where food was a matter of strategy and survival, the kitchen became a battlefield of its own. It was a place where resourcefulness reigned supreme, where the ordinary became extraordinary, and where the palate adapted to the demands of the time. The war kitchen was a place of innovation and resilience, setting the stage for post-war food habits. The 40s may have been a time of rationing and substitution, but they also set the table for a culinary revolution that would forever change how we eat. From the hardships of rationing emerged a new era of convenience in the kitchen. As the 40s rolled on, the shadow of war began to lift. With it came a wave of modernization that swept across homes, touching every aspect of life, including what people ate. The post-war era marked a significant shift in the culinary world. One of the most significant changes was the rise of canned goods and processed foods. Canned goods weren't a new concept, of course. They had been around since the early 19th century, but their popularity surged in the post-war era. Why, you ask? Well, the answer lies in their convenience. With many women joining the workforce, families needed quick and easy meal solutions. Canned goods fit the bill perfectly. They could be stored for long periods, and preparing a meal was as simple as opening a can and heating its contents. But it wasn't just canned goods. The 40s also saw the rise of processed foods. Now, when we say processed foods, we're not just talking about the ready meals and snack foods that might spring to mind today. In the 40s, processed meant foods that had been canned, frozen, or dried to extend their shelf life. This included everything from fruits and vegetables to meats and dairy products. The rise of these foods wasn't just about convenience, though. It was also about abundance. After years of rationing, these foods represented plenty. They were a sign that the hardships of the war were over, and a new era of prosperity had begun. While they may not have been the healthiest choices, there's no denying the impact that canned goods and processed foods had on the culinary landscape of the 40s. They changed the way people ate, the way they shopped, and even the way they thought about food. They were a symbol of progress, of a world moving forward. The post-war boom marked the dawn of a new era in food habits, one dominated by canned goods and processed foods. The 1940s saw a shift in food habits, with more people eating out than ever before. This era marked the advent of a burgeoning diner culture across America, a trend that would soon ripple out to the rest of the world. The 1940s weren't just about victory gardens and ration books. They were also about jukeboxes, chrome counters, and the sizzle of a good hamburger on the griddle. As World War II drew to a close, the American economy was booming, and with it, the middle class had more disposable income. This newfound prosperity, coupled with the increased mobility of the post-war population, created a fertile ground for the rise of diners and fast food joints. These establishments offered quick, affordable meals, perfect for the busy modern family or the adventurous road tripper exploring the new interstate highways. Diners became social hubs, places where people could gather for a meal, a cup of coffee, or a slice of pie at any hour. They offered a sense of familiarity and comfort, with menus filled with hearty home-style meals. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and apple pie were diner staples, dishes that spoke of home and hearth even if they were served up under neon lights. Fast food, as we know it today, also got its start in the 1940s. The first McDonald's opened its doors in 1940, offering a simple menu of 9 items, with the iconic hamburger taking center stage. This was a far cry from the multi-page menus we see today, but it was a start. The idea of fast, affordable, and consistent food was revolutionary and quickly caught on. The influence of American diner and fast food culture was profound, shaping eating habits not just in the United States but around the globe. The 1940s were a pivotal decade in the history of food, a time when the modern fast food industry was just starting to find its feet. The rise of fast food and diners in the 40s laid the foundation for the global fast food culture we see today. As food habits changed, so did the quality of food. The 1940s brought about a major shift in the way we consumed our meals. This was the era when society moved from a largely fresh, farm-to-table diet to one that relied heavily on processed food. The reasons for this shift were manifold. The end of World War II saw technological advancements that made mass production of food more feasible. This led to an increased availability of canned goods and processed foods, which were seen as convenient, affordable, and modern. These foods often had long shelf lives, making them an attractive option for many families. However, this shift from fresh to processed wasn't without its consequences. Processed foods are often high in sodium, fat, and sugar, and low in vital nutrients, leading to a rise in health issues like obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. The convenience of processed foods came at a cost to our health. Beyond health, the shift had implications for the environment as well. The rise of mass farming meant more land was being used for agriculture, leading to deforestation and loss of biodiversity. The increased use of pesticides and fertilizers had a damaging effect on the environment, polluting water systems and harming wildlife. Interestingly, the 1940s also saw the beginning of the organic movement, a response to the industrialization of agriculture. A small section of society began advocating for a return to traditional farming methods, free from synthetic pesticides and fertilizers. This movement, although niche at the time, has grown significantly in recent years, reflecting a growing awareness of the need for sustainable and healthy food production. The 1940s marked a significant shift in food quality, with far-reaching implications. As we moved from a diet centered around fresh, locally sourced food to one dominated by processed, mass-produced items, we traded convenience for health and environmental sustainability. This era serves as a stark reminder of the complex relationship between our food habits and the world around us. The 1940s was a decade of dramatic change in food habits and quality. As we've seen, the decade kicked off with rationing and substitution, a necessity of war. This wasn't just a time of scarcity, though. It was also a time of innovation, as people got creative with what they had. Then came the rise of canned goods and processed foods, a revolution in preservation and convenience. Suddenly, meals didn't have to be prepared from scratch, and food could last longer than ever before. And who could forget the birth of the fast food culture? Eating out became more than a luxury, it became a lifestyle. Fast, convenient, and satisfying, it was a complete transformation of the food scene. From scarcity to abundance, homemade to ready-made, the 1940s was a roller coaster ride for food habits. The food habits of the 1940s have shaped our culinary landscape in ways we might not even realize, making it a pivotal decade in our food history.